Hi, everybody. My name is Jay Rivera, and I'm a Democratic State Committee member from Lawrence.
Hi, my name is Veronica Martinez. I'm the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Democratic Party. I'm so excited to have Jay here today because as one of our state committee members, Jay has attended, I think, over 7 conventions now. Awesome. And he's going to share with us some of the basics of what you need to know to have a successful convention.
Yeah, so the convention this year will start on Friday, June 1st, and it'll go through most of the day on Saturday, June 2nd. There's going to be a lot of walking, so make sure you wear comfortable shoes and just be ready to be there most of the day. The convention this year will be held at the DCU Center in Worcester. That's located at 50 Foster Street in Worcester. That is the exact same location as in 2017.
Awesome. So now you know where you have to be, but what we also want to talk about is what you're going to have to do. So on the day of the convention, the main business is the endorsement of candidates, determining ballot access, and potentially dealing with any resolutions. On Friday, the convention will be called to order at 6:30 p.m. We'll endorse any unopposed candidates for statewide office. We'll hear from them, and then you'll go to some delegate parties. On Saturday, we'll vote on governor, lieutenant governor, and secretary. These votes will determine who gets the party endorsement and also who will appear on the primary ballot. So we'll go into the schedule a little bit more in depth later, but there are also a few things you have to do before you get to the convention. If you're a delegate or alternate, you'll be receiving the convention guide, also called the Call to Convention, in your mailboxes the week before the convention. It's a newspaper that you should read and probably bring with you as it has a lot of helpful details. If you haven't paid in advance for the convention yet, be sure to do so. It'll really speed up your registration. If you paid before April 20th, you'll be getting your credential in the mail. If you didn't pay before April 20th, we are doing a second mailing of credentials, so you might receive it in the mail. But if you don't receive it for any reason, you can always pick it up at the door. And it'll just expedite registration if you paid in advance. Registration at the door is $100 for delegates and alternates, and $75 for delegates or alternates who are students, senior citizens 65 or older, and people with disabilities. So keep in mind, bring your credentials, bring a photo ID, it's just always helpful to have, bring your convention guide, charge your cell phone and bring that with you, maybe have a battery backup, and bring a pen or pencil just in case you want to jot anything down.
Yeah, those are all super important. Just a few thoughts to share, though. The convention is always a lot of fun. It's really the perfect time to share times with Democrats from your community, your Senate district, and even the entire state. So, just a few general pieces of advice. Bring a lot of sense of humor and a lot of patience because you're going to need it. Just because an event says breakfast, make sure to still have a big breakfast in the morning if you want one. You might not be able to order eggs and bacon that easily, so definitely make sure you have something prior to. The speeches and ceremonies are usually the most important part, but there will be some chit-chatting during those, so you'll get used to those. And there's always events prior the night before the day of the convention, so definitely enjoy those, and they're usually open for delegates and their guests. So
cool. That's really neat. So on Friday, before you go to those parties, we have some stuff to do. So I'm going to dive into that timeline. Then we'll talk a little bit about your credentials, registration, and what the voting process looks like. So on Friday evening, registration and the exhibit halls will open up at 4:30 p.m. So at 4:30, you can go over to door 2 of the DCU Center to gain access. You can pick up your credential from 4:30 until 8 p.m. You can be at the exhibit halls from 4:30 until the convention ends. And that's a place where we'll have a bunch of tables for progressive organizations in Massachusetts that you might like to engage with. And then the convention itself will be called to order at 6:30 p.m. And that's when the main order of business of endorsing unopposed candidates will occur. Then on Saturday, registrations, exhibits, and the breakfast will open up at 7:30. Registration will be open from 7:30 until 11. The exhibit hall will be open from 7:30 until the convention's over. And the floor itself will open up at 8 a.m. Access to the floor at 8 a.m. is really important because that's a time when you can start checking in with your teller. You need to check in with your teller to be able to vote. And then the convention itself will be called to order at 9 a.m. We'll begin with some opening ceremonies. Then the roll call will take place at 10 a.m. And you have to check in with your teller either at the roll call or before. So at 10 a.m., be sure to be in your district, make sure that your name isn't called or that if it is that you're responding, and that way you can vote later in the day. Once the roll call's been completed, We'll get to voting, so you'll hear our speeches from our candidates, and then we'll get to balloting. So we'll hear governor, lieutenant governor, and secretary, and then you'll vote on those races as well. And I just really want to stress how important it is to have your credential to be able to vote. Again, if you haven't paid your fee yet, make sure to do so. If you paid before April 20th, you should receive it in the mail. And if you've lost it or anything has happened to it, it's a credential that you're using for both days, you're using it for Friday and Saturday, be sure to go to the registration hall to pick up a new one.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about Friday night. So on Friday night, the convention will gavel in at 6:30, and the registration will open at 4:30. After the convention, there'll be some parties, so definitely make sure you go out and you enjoy those. On Saturday, when you get to the DCU Center, make sure you have your credentials and your photo ID ready because you might need those. For delegates, once you've gone to the hall, make sure you go find your Senate District seating and check in with your teller. That's going to be an opportunity for you to check in, set your stuff down, and then go enjoy the rest of the activities. For delegates who have not checked in or do not answer the second call after 10 a.m., you will be replaced with an alternate. Once that change has been made, it cannot be changed back. So definitely make sure you're there if you want to vote.
Awesome. Okay, so what I understand from that is that it's really important that you check in with your teller, that you can do it between 8 a.m. up until the 10 a.m. roll call, and then at 10 a.m. they'll begin the roll call. And it sounds like there are 2 roll calls, so you get a second opportunity, but if you miss that second opportunity, you're out of luck. I think it's also important, it sounds like, that you go to the right state Senate district. Now, this can be tricky in some cases, because you know your state senator, and that's awesome. But there are some towns and wards that are split between 2 districts. So while you might have one senator, your neighbor has another one. Rather than dividing you from the people you know and want to go to the convention with, we seat split towns and wards in one state Senate district. So be sure to look at your credential. If you're from one of these split towns, check out your credential. Make sure you go to the Senate district that's indicated on your credential, because that's the ballot book you'll be in. So even though it's not actually your state Senate district, we've done some finagling to make sure that you're with your friends and family in the same district. And so then once you go to the correct Senate district, we'll be able to begin our balloting. So again, balloting will happen after the speeches. So you'll hear from the governor, lieutenant governor, and secretary candidates. And then we'll begin the balloting. And if you've never been to a convention, this is the kind of crazy part. It's a lot of fun. Yep. It's going to get very noisy, and it's going to get noisy because we do this by voice vote. So your teller, who you checked in earlier for the roll call, will begin calling out names. Now, it's not in alphabetical order, so if you don't hear your name early on, don't worry about it. The way it's sorted is by town and then ward. So we've grouped these folks together, and that's also why we've grouped them by state Senate district together if you're in a split district. So the teller will call out by town and ward all of the names. At that time, they'll request your vote for governor, lieutenant governor, and secretary. So you'll cast all 3 at the same time. They'll repeat your vote back to you to make sure they've got it right. You'll confirm it, and then they'll jot it down in their book. We'll tally those all up, and we'll determine who receives ballot access and who receives the endorsement of the party. To get the endorsement, they have to receive the majority of the votes of the convention. And to be on the ballot, they need to receive at least 15% of the votes of the convention to appear on the ballot as well.
Yeah, so definitely I want to touch on what to wear. This is going to be a pretty long day, so you want to be comfortable. Wear some nice comfortable shoes, and definitely make sure you bring a sweater, dress comfortably. If it gets warm, you can take off that sweater. As far as food goes, there's going to be food all throughout the DCU. No food is allowed from the outside, so you definitely have to make sure you purchase it there. And all concession stands will accept debit card, credit cards, and cash. For security purposes, no bags larger than a tote will be allowed. So make sure you keep everything in one bag. And I just want to touch on parking and transportation.
Yeah.
So the main parking garage for the DCU is located on Major Taylor Boulevard, which is right across the street. If you can't get a spot in this garage, make sure you look around. There's going to be some surrounding the premises. There's a bus station located at 60 Foster Street, which is only about a 7-minute walk from the DCU Center. There's also a train station at Union Station, which is an MBTA stop. So if you're taking the train in, that's the stop to go. So there's also going to be a shuttle from Union Station to the DCU Center, and each hotel has their own shuttle program, so definitely make sure you check in with those. For all of our disabled attendees, so we do have ADA assistance throughout the event, all day during the event. But prior to, if you need assistance, please call the party 617-939-0800. Make sure you let them know. They'll definitely accommodate that ahead of time. For those who need hearing devices or wheelchairs, those will be available at the convention center. You will need a credit card to check it out. If you do not return it, then you'll be charged. Otherwise, you will not be charged for those. And there will be closed captioning. Those will be on all the screens, so you'll be able to read everything clearly. If you have any questions, feel free to call the party office. The number is, again, 617-939-0800. Or you can actually check out our convention tab on massdems.org.
Awesome. Well, Jay, thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate it. We're so looking forward to seeing you June 1st and June 2nd in Worcester for our convention.
Enjoy the convention.